So our next team now representing Canada is going to be 552, Flirt, 11-year-old Oldenburg gelding by Florencio Arbacona by Donahall and bred in Germany. It's owned and written by Laurie Bell from Beaverton, Ontario.
Hello, my name is Grace Winier and welcome to Horse Pro, the channel dedicated to empowering the amateur horse enthusiast and supporting the budding professional. Today it's my absolute pleasure to be interviewing Laurie Bell, an amateur turned professional dressage trainer, stable owner, and seller of dressage horses imported from Europe, and her lovely Grand Prix mount Flirt, who is definitely a ham for the camera. Laurie, thanks very much for joining us today, and thanks for having us here in beautiful Loxahatchee, Florida. A few questions, because you have a very interesting tale, and I think a very inspiring one for every person out there who is a horse lover, who is someone who believes that the horse industry maybe is beyond their attainability.
Yep.
You had a high-end corporate job.
Yes.
And you rode on the side,
Yep.
like many of us, where an hour a day, and yet you left that job to full-time put yourself into a horse career.
Yes.
How did you come to that decision, and what were the difficulties?
Well, it was a fairly easy decision. I'd been in the corporate world for about 18 years, and it just was wearing on me. It just wasn't for me anymore. It was a very difficult decision because the money was great. And I had time to full-time ride 2 horses, compete and do everything, and it's like, how can I give that away?
Right.
But through getting a little bit broken in my own mental status, it was sort of something that I knew I needed to do. And Denis and I had the mortgage paid off. One salary went to the mortgage, and the other one went for us to live. So when the mortgage got paid off, it gave me that opportunity, the freedom financially, to go ahead and try to get into the horses.
And having mentioned Denis, how important is it to you to have a spouse that supports you in this?
Absolutely vital. Absolutely vital. I mean, he is so supportive. He never complains about all the money I spend.
Right.
He never complains about all the time I spend. He's pushing me. Years ago, he was saying to me, "You could represent Canada on a team," and I'm like, "Yeah, right, sure, whatever." It's nice you think that.
Do you think you could do it without him?
Pretty tough.
Yeah.
Pretty tough. The support alone, of course, the financial, because he's still working.
Right.
It certainly helps, but the support, unbelievable.
Now at home, you guys run Horse Haven Imports.
Yep.
Denis has a full-time job.
Yep.
How important is it for you to also take a sales horse in or have a couple of clients along with all your riding that you do? Is that in the dressage world, is that what it takes to be viably sustainable and to be able to come down to Florida?
For me it is. What my business was mainly, as you know, because we worked together on a lot of imported horses, my business mostly was buying, training, and selling horses.
Right.
I have a few students. I bring a few students in for
Right.
training. I bring some horses in for sales. But my biggest thing is training the horses.
Now in your career, which is still developing, you've trained with many people from a young age, coming up through the levels. If you had to name 3 influential people in terms of anything in horses, who would they be? Who has made a huge difference to your life or the way you've run your business?
I have to say the first person that really helped me out was Betty Briggs from Alberta. She was getting out of importing and training horses, and she gave me her whole contact list.
Great.
So that really helped.
And that's very
obviously.
generous, because that doesn't happen very often, right? So she must have thought very highly of where you were going.
She was great. You have been really helpful to me in the selling and the back and forth. No, it's true. I mean, we've been in business together for 20-some years.
And we've gotten along for 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. That's a miracle in itself. And Denis, of course, but people like Charlotte Desjardins and all of these riders that are so talented and so beautiful. I just want to look like them, you know?
Right, you aspire.
Yeah, yeah.
So having said that, what are your goals? What are your goals for the next year, 4 years?
Okay, well, short term, this will be Flirt's first Grand Prix year.
Great.
We held him back a little bit because we were trying out for the Pan Am team.
Right.
So now it's time to move on. And that's a big goal. I'd like to someday represent Canada on a team of some description.
I would love for you to do that too.
Yeah. So that's the long term. The short term is to get into the Grand Prix ring with him.
And to date, what has been a good highlight for you? What has been to date something, a moment that you say, wow, I achieved?
Yeah.
What has been a moment to date?
I will never forget winning at Dressage at Devon. I will never forget the feeling, the Canadian anthem playing, the hug in the aisle Dennis and I had as it came over the loudspeaker, because it was very close between me and Tom.
Oh my gosh.
And I get goosebumps just remembering that feeling, that hug, his support, and just going, wow, I did it.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's definitely the highlight for me.
Now, for somebody who might be in your position that you found yourself in years ago, who has a job and has to decide whether to give that up to follow a horse career, do you have any advice for them in terms of making a decision to go one way or the other? Or any advice you can give them as to how to make that decision?
Yeah, it was a very hard decision for me because mainly the money and what I was achieving. I waited too long. I should have listened to my gut and got out sooner.
Right.
Whatever, I learned from that. I think listen to your heart and really, but be aware of the finances, be in a comfortable enough position that you can go and do it and not feel overly stressed by the finances of it, if you can.
Right, because as we all know, it's an expensive sport, and that can really cause the strain and the worry in the sport.
Yes.
And you've been fortunate because you've had some very good horses in your career.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite? Can you tell us whether you've had a favorite?
Yes. Everybody talks about Heart Horse.
Yes.
And truly, there's a connection between me and Flirt. That
for everybody out there, has not been as easy as he looks now. And you've had him since he was 3 years old. And how old is Flirt now?
He's 12.
So you guys have developed quite a rapport and quite a history, and I know it's not always been smooth.
It's been tricky at times. He's very afraid of other horses, so warm-ups are crazy sometimes. He's spooky about other things. I've worked with different types of coaches, natural horsemanship and that sort of thing, to try and build the confidence and trust. And I have to say, he's rarely been ridden by anyone else. I've done all of it. So just gaining that trust and confidence has been so important for him.
And do you think that that's going to make the difference overall in the quality of your tests and the quality of your rides?
Absolutely.
Is that rapport that you have with this horse?
Yeah, I have to listen to him. People probably think I'm crazy, but I have to listen to him and do things in his time when he's ready, and be very aware of.
And cognizant of his mood and his strength and everything else. I have one other question for you, because it's very interesting. Many people view dressage riders, I hate to say it, from the hunter-jumper world, as people who perhaps are afraid to jump horses or whatever. It's very easy to say that. However, I know you do cross-training with your horses, which for everyone out there means that the horse is developed not outside of its own singular discipline. So what does that entail?
For my horses, I do cavaletti, I do jumping this high, nothing big, in a dressage saddle.
Yes. I know you hack, even though it can be laborious at times. So for anybody who would like to consider a switch, Lori Bell is an inspiration. She is an adult who has turned one career success into a 180 turnaround into another career success, and basically is going to go for the gold for Canada at some point. We wish her the best in Florida. We wish her the best in the upcoming years. And of course, our friend Flirt, we look forward to seeing more from him. Thank you very much.